The big talking point going into the clash is to whether or not Sadio Mane will be available to play. Of course, he was knocked out of the Africa Cup of Nations at the weekend. What are you hearing about his availability?
Well, Liverpool put on a flight yesterday back from Gabon to bring him back to the game, but it wasn't allowed to fly back yesterday, so he's flown in today. He's back on Merseyside now, but he'll be in the squad. I'm not sure he'll play, certainly from the start. I think he'll be in the squad, he'll be on the bench, but I don't think he'll start the game.
Well, this is one where if you're a coach and you listen to the sports scientists, he hasn't got a hope in hell. Not a hope in hell.
He's right? In the dark red zone.
His numbers are off the charts. But this is where a manager and a player, this is where you've got to put all that scientific stuff to the side, and you've got to trust the player, make a decision as a manager, as a coach, and see exactly how he is. Is it feasible a guy can travel and play as much as he has and play in the game? Yes. Is there a potential for an injury or something? Of course there is. But this is where it comes down to the human side.
But wouldn't you lie, Craig? If you were Sadio Mane...
I would want to play. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So isn't that a problem, though? Aren't you putting your team in jeopardy because you're saying, yeah, I'm fine, and your leg falls off 5 minutes into the game?
I don't understand it. Maybe somebody can enlighten me, right?
Oh.
Here we go. This is...
Well, we do that most weeks.
Thank you. He's in Gabon, yes?
Well, no, he's back now.
No, but he was in Gabon, right?
Yes.
Gabon is in Africa, right?
Thank you.
You don't have... the time difference is, I think, 1 hour, 2 hours, right? No more than that. So it's not like he's flying in from Australia, right? So he couldn't fly in the day before, so he flies on Monday. It's not like he's in Gabon and he's like working in a salt mine or something. He's there. He can train. He can be ready. He hops a flight to Liverpool today, and he plays tomorrow. How is this different than a Champions League game where maybe it's a 3-4 hour flight from Moscow or Istanbul? I don't understand. What is the big deal here?
Liverpool faced Chelsea in quite the epic showdown in the Premier League. Gab Marcotti is joining me for this preview. Gab, a couple of talking points for this one. We know it's as you were for Chelsea. They're cruising along towards this Premier League title, but Liverpool, not the best week last week for them, getting knocked out of 2 cups, and there is the issue of fatigue. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, on the fatigue front, we need to bear in mind, I mean, the numbers show, obviously, Liverpool playing 8 games and Chelsea 5. But if guys in Liverpool shirts run out at Anfield, and it's not the guys who normally wear the Liverpool shirts at Anfield, is it still Liverpool? I don't mean to make light of this, but I counted, I think, probably 2 starters, playing at the weekend against Wolverhampton. I think that, Firmino and Wijnaldum, frankly, I think that's a bit less of an issue. He knows he had this game coming up. The reason that they played those guys against Wolves was so that they could be prepared and ready for Chelsea. So I don't think it's a fatigue from games. I think there's a bit of a stylistic fatigue because the way Liverpool play is just extremely physically taxing. Then again, you assume that that's offset by the fact that Klopp's been doing this stuff a long time, and crucially, there's no European football. I counted the number of games. By this stage last season, they'd played 37 games. At this stage, they've played 31, including the fake, Liverpool that we see in certain games. Yeah, but it might not sound like a huge difference, but I think 6 games in 6 months is, or in 4 months, or however long it's been. Those are 6 weeks without a midweek fixture where you really can, go work on things. You can start recuperating players. So I don't know that fatigue is going to be as much of or physical fatigue anyway, is going to be as much of a factor.
All right, well, a couple of names that we want to be seeing again, Firmino, of course, being one, but Sadio Mane is one that everyone is saying that Liverpool has been missing. He should, or we're hearing he should at least start on the bench, but you don't see any reason why he shouldn't just start, period. Well,
I was thinking about this, right? So they made this whole song and dance, private jet from Gabon. Now, what I don't get is that he played on Saturday, he went to penalty kicks, heartbreaking. And I can understand the private jet because the private jet, presumably, the private jet either flew him straight back to Merseyside or it flew him someplace with a direct flight to Merseyside, which is about the same. But this is no different than, if they were playing in Turkey or if they were playing in a Champions League game in Moscow. It's not as if, there isn't a massive time difference. It's not as if we're talking an enormous flight. And it's not as if he was ever going to go and fly commercially back and spend all of Sunday, in airports. So as I see it, there's no reason I think that he couldn't go out there and maybe even play from the first minute.
All right, can I squeeze a quick prediction out of you before we go?
Ooh. I'm going to sit on the fence on this one.
Ooh,
I'm gonna
fence it out.
I'm going to go for the draw simply because I think when Chelsea want to play for the draw, they can. And I think also psychologically from Liverpool's perspective, while obviously they want to win, what you really want to do is not make it, 4 straight defeats at Liverpool, at Anfield. You look at the table, you've got the 2-point buffer over City, at 4 over United. I think at this point, you kind of nurture that.
All right, thanks so much, Gab Marcotti. So he's going for the draw. We'll see exactly how this one pans out right here. Here's the one that we'll see what separates us. Liverpool hosting a high-flying Chelsea.
So I went for the draw in this one, and I think the logic is simple. It's not as if teams go out thinking this, but it's in the back of your mind. A draw is not a bad result for Liverpool, whereas yet another home defeat would be really, really bad, especially with, they have a 2-point lead over City, 4 points over United. A draw is really not a bad result for Chelsea either, given the circumstances and where they are. So for me, I'm just going to stick with a draw there.
I think I'm going to agree with you and go for a draw as well. It is hard to separate these two. I know Liverpool desperate for a reaction and something to cheer about after how last week went for them on their last 2 Premier League fixtures. So I'm going to sit on the fence with you, Gab, make some room. I'm going for the draw. Stevie Nichols joining me right now. We're talking Chelsea. Avram Grant, the former Chelsea manager, says that the club has suffered. They don't look like they're suffering now, at least in the Premier League, but he says they have because they don't have any identity because of the constant revolving door of different players coming in and different managers. Stevie, do you agree with this view?
Well, I do. I think ever since Mourinho first went there, they did have an identity, not just the manager, but right through the spine of the team, Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba. But once that era was over, ever since then, let's be honest, it's not just Chelsea who are beginning now to struggle for an identity. Most teams change managers so often, they change players so often, that it's really tough.
It's the world we live in today.
Well, it's tough for teams to get a core of players, and for me, that's what fans identify with. A core group of players that carries a team through a period of time. Nobody seems to stay long enough anymore.
Well, what about now with Antonio Conte? Avram Grant seems to be a massive fan of him. He says he loves what he's doing now. He loves the fact that he's not stubborn. He's willing to change his ways as he did when he's realized things weren't going his way at the start of the season. But do you see him staying there long-term enough so that they can get this identity that's uniquely Chelsea?
I do, yes. I think of all the new managers in the league.
But what's long-term nowadays?
Well, I don't know, 6, 7 years maybe. I think of all the managers now. I think of Klopp, but also probably more think of Conte. I mean, you think what he did at Juventus, 6 or 7 seasons there. You talk about a team that had an identity. So I would not be surprised if Conte brings an identity to Chelsea.
All right, well, the way things are going, I'm sure Chelsea would love to keep him on in the long term. Thanks so much, Stevie Nichols. For more on this story, keep it here at ESPN.
So, Stevie, maybe this result on its own isn't a massive deal, but the fact it's coupled with such a miserable run of form, you've got to take it seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I told you on Friday and you wouldn't listen to me. I told you I was worried about this game, but you weren't having it. Well, it's the FA Cup, it's only Wolves.
See, it's your fault,
It's
your fault, Dan.
And do you know what actually stuck out? The fact that they lost wasn't a complete shock. But what really stuck out to me was the way they lost the game. It's clear to me that Klopp, when he's coaching, he doesn't consider the defensive side of the game. Because if you watch the first team, and now you watch the reserve team, basically, they make the same mistakes defensively. That tells me that he doesn't spend any time on the defensive side of the game. Because Liverpool's first team, they're so bad defending behind the ball when they're going forward. That's why teams break on them so easily and score. And then you watch the reserve team, and it's a carbon copy.
Wait, are you allowed to criticise Klopp? I didn't think that was a...
that was the thing that stuck out. Clearly, he doesn't coach defence. He can't. Every single one of those results that we went, look at the state of that. Every single one's a carbon copy, pretty much. Pressure, but can't defend. Pressure, can't defend. Pressure, can't defend. Now, if you go 8 games doing that, clearly, you're not doing enough coaching on the defensive side of the game. It's the only answer.
That's all what I'm interested in. Yes, I think it's a lot to go for in this season. And I think we should try and not stop now and judging finally players and all the things around and talking about all the mistakes we made in this season. We made that much mistakes in the season that we are still fourth in the league and that we are got out of the Capital Cup in semi-final. So that's it. And there are worse things in the world, 100%. But I know, and I accept this. Obviously, it feels for a lot of people different, but not for me. So, and thank God, I'm closer to the team than all of the rest. And so we will do everything to be as successful as possible, 100%. Yeah. Stay positive. There's no reason for anything else. Absolutely not. And yeah, if you want, you're absolutely welcome. And actually, in the short term, it would help a lot against Chelsea because they are not a really bad team. I can say nothing about Chelsea's position or whatever. We have only one thing to do. We have to try everything to keep these 3 points here. And then again, no influence. If they lose here and win then the rest, they are probably the champion. So that's not our thing to think about. It's only the game. I think he really deserved it because he had a outstanding year, not only in the national team but in the national team too. And so it's if you want, he's kind of a late starter. So it's a little bit, and so it's really nice that people see what he's doing. Yeah, I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, it's a really tough game. It's an important game, but after this game, there will be 50 games to finish the season. And if you win, or you draw, or you lose, doesn't change a lot. But for sure, for us, we want to continue in this way. Yeah, to keep them in the right distance, because for me they are very strong, and Liverpool is a team that can fight until the end to win the title for me.